I'm Linda Sevilla from the Ascension Centre for Higher Consciousness. We have just released our membership area, Transcend You, which is all about helping people to raise their energetic vibration. And so today I want to talk a bit about how to protect your vibration if you're an empath. Now, this is going to be important for people who tend to take on all of the energy from the world, all of the negative stuff going on, because there's a lot of negative stuff going on in the world right now. So what we're going to do is talk a bit about what it means to be an empath. How do you know? What are some of the indicators? How does one become an empath? What are some of the life experiences that contribute to that? And stick around to the end because we're going to do a guided meditation to help you develop a tool so that you can protect yourself from taking on unwanted or negative energy and thereby maintain your own energetic vibration. And so everything is energy. We are energy. Everything in the world is energy. And as energetic beings, we are affected by whatever we come into contact with. So if you're an empathic person, what I think of as porous, you tend to take on the energy of people, things, experiences around you. So for example, if you're an empath and you spend time with somebody who's in a really negative mood, you're going to leave that encounter feeling depleted, exhausted, or you might actually take on their mood as your own. I work with a lot of people who are empathic as a hypnotherapist, and often they have a hard time sorting out what is theirs versus what belongs to somebody else. You may be empathic, but find yourself wondering why you're focused on a negative emotion or you're focused on a negative experience or you're thinking a particular thing. It may not be yours at all. If you've spent time with somebody as an empath who is thinking about those things, focusing on those things, feeling those things, you might take that on yourself and then kind of confuse what is yours and what belongs to somebody else. So the exercise we're going to do in this session is going to help you with that as well, to distinguish between what belongs to you and what is out there belongs to somebody else. And so it's important that we protect our energy because, again, as energetic beings, we're just bombarded all day long with negative messages, negative news, people in low moods. We can't always control the temperaments or moods of the people that we're around. You might have to work with a negative colleague. You might have to work with a really stressed out boss. And if you're an empath, that stress, that negativity becomes yours. So again, it's really important that particularly as empaths, but just as people in general, we protect our own vibration. What we're feeling individually, we add to the collective. So when we're taking on other people's negativity, then we're adding to more negativity on the planet. So by being able to preserve your own energy and keep your vibration high, you're also contributing to a higher vibration on the planet overall. And so let's talk about some of the traits and qualities of an empath. Now, as I mentioned, people who are empathic have a lot of sensitivity. They're very open to the emotions and experiences of other people. They are typically very compassionate and understanding people. I teach hypnotherapy, and I often get empaths who take my training. These are people who want to be of service to other people. They're the people who, people gravitate towards them anyway to talk to them about what's going on in their lives. And so they're often the people who become the sounding board for other people. And so they're kind of emotional sponges. They absorb from other people and, again, can sometimes have a difficult time differentiating between their own emotions or feelings and what belongs to somebody else. Now, some of the benefits of being an empath, again, it gives you a lot of intuitive understanding. If you're able to read what's going on for somebody else, that can really serve you well if you do service work or intuitive work. If you're in the helping fields, that can really be beneficial to you. Empaths also tend to feel a deep connection to nature because nature is so grounding and so balancing and so healing, and empaths take on the energy of the people and things that they're around. It can be very grounding and balancing for them to be in nature. So they tend to gravitate towards nature just because it's such a feel-good experience for them. And they tend to be really compassionate problem solvers and people who seek harmony. Again, when you're taking on the feelings of everybody around you, you want your relationships to be harmonious because you're going to feel exponentially whatever is going on in that relationship. And so there are some upsides to being an empath, but if you don't protect your energy, there can be a lot of downsides. Because they're so porous, they will be affected by conflict, negative emotions, negative moods, whatever is going on out there in the world, the wars, the financial crises, the health crises, all of that is going to really wear down an empath. So they experience emotional overload. At some point, it's just too much. And that can take you out of the game. I've had some empaths that I've worked with who have ended up with things like fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, or some other illness. See, your subconscious will see a need and fill it for you. If going to work or going out into the world or being around people gets a negative association on a subconscious level because it's too draining, it's too taxing, your subconscious, because its job is to keep you safe, that's its number one function, self-preservation. And unfortunately, it's also the irrational, illogical part of your mind. It will try to keep you safe by not enabling you to go into those environments. So if you have a critical, negative, stressed out boss and you're taking that on, your subconscious might just say, maybe if I couldn't work because I'm too exhausted or too tired or too drained, or I've got something else I need to focus on, like an illness of my own, problem solved. I don't have to be around that negative person. Now, I say it like, oh, your subconscious is thinking this. Nobody thinks this. You're not like sitting down one day going, how can I get out of going to work and being around that negative person? I know I'll develop an illness. It's not a conscious decision, but your subconscious runs 90 to 95% of your behavior. It runs all of your emotional responses, and it looks for solutions to whatever problems you're experiencing. And again, because it's illogical, it doesn't necessarily know that the solution it's come up with is a bad one for you. And so it can lead to developing physical conditions or psychosomatic conditions. They're developed by your mind in order to protect you, but they are physical nonetheless, in that you are experiencing the symptoms. People who are empaths often need a lot of time alone to de-stress, to unplug, to recharge. Again, if you're bombarded by everybody else's energy out in the world and you take that on, you need some time to decompress. And so they tend to feel a lot of need for alone time, personal time. They need a lot of time to decompress. And they can also feel really uncomfortable in crowds or in situations where there's a lot of chaos. So they'll tend to avoid or, be drained by, if they don't avoid, highly stimulating environments. And that can include media as well. I've had some empaths who just can't watch a scary show on TV. The tension, the negativity in the movie just wears on them. And so there are upsides. You can feel what other people are feeling. You can attune to other people. You're well connected to the energy and experiences of others. But the downsides are it can be very depleting. And so, how does one become an empath? Well, I've got some theories, and there could certainly be other reasons, but these are the things that I've seen in my practice. Now, one is often it can be a response to trauma. So I've noticed a correlation. I've been doing hypnosis since 1999, and I get, like I said, as students as well as clients, a lot of people who are empathic. Now, my clients aren't coming in to work on changing their empathy. They're usually coming in to work on their response to trauma that's still lingering for them. But over the course of our conversation, they'll speak in terms that help me to understand that they're empathic. I feel everything, I take it all on, I can't tell what's mine, what's somebody else's. And so I've noticed this correlation. Let me describe it. If you grow up in an environment where there is somebody who is threatening or perceived to be threatening, or somebody who is unpredictable, if there's a lot of chaos in your environment, because the job of your subconscious is to keep you safe, it will turn on your fight flight response so that you can attune to the energy of the people in the room. If you can be one step ahead, if you can figure out what's going to happen before it happens, if you can be plugged in to the energy and emotions of other people, it's a great coping mechanism to keep you safe. So this could be somebody who's in an environment where there's ongoing chaos, an abusive or critical or threatening parent, but it could also be a one-time event. Because when that one-time event occurs, you don't know in the moment if it's going to happen again or not. So that tendency to be attuned and kind of on guard and aware of everything that's going on can be turned on, even if somebody in your environment just went off once. And because the subconscious is not the rational part of your mind, once that response gets turned on, it tends to stay on. The subconscious doesn't go, oh, I'm no longer in that environment, I'm safe now, that chaotic person didn't go off again, or they got help, they've calmed down. The subconscious has no ability to reason. So once it decides you need that fight flight response, you need that ability to be aware and attuned and able to sense the energy in your environment as a protective mechanism, it will just stay on. Incidentally, I often think that people who are diagnosed with ADD or ADHD are misdiagnosed, that what you're actually seeing is the same response, but amplified because you take that person who had to have their ability to sense and feel what's going on in the room heightened by a challenging or threatening person in their environment. And then you plunk them down in a classroom where they now have 30 people that they need to keep track of. That empathy, that ability to tune in goes through the roof. Of course, you're not able to focus and concentrate. You're too busy sensing what's going on for everybody. Now, I'm not saying that's the only cause of ADD or ADHD. I'm not saying everybody's been misdiagnosed. I'm only mentioning that I've seen a correlation in the people that I work with, that often when somebody mentions to me they have ADD, ADHD, and I begin talking to them about what their history was like, what was their childhood like, there's often some dots that get connected there. And so that's one possibility. You grew up in an environment with somebody who is unpredictable, somebody who is chaotic, somebody who is threatening, and that ability to sense what's going on for other people was a protective mechanism that has just stayed with you because your subconscious, once that response gets turned on, keeps it on. Another possibility is the subconscious works by association. And so if something gets a positive association, regardless of whether it's actually positive or not, your subconscious will go, oh, we should do that more. So if somebody praises you for how emotionally aware you are, or how intuitive you are, or how empathic you are, your subconscious goes, oh, that's a good thing. And if a little bit is good, then more might be even better. So sometimes it's just you've gotten some kind of praise, there's some kind of positive association that's been set up with the empathy, and your subconscious hangs on to it because the subconscious will do whatever it is it believes is useful or healthy to you. And so in the first instance, it's out of necessity. I need this in order to feel safe in my chaotic environment. In the second instance, it's because there's a positive association. And there is a third possibility. This one's going to take me a little while to explain, so just bear with me. Now, we're born only with our subconscious mind. Our subconscious is the part of our mind that is emotional and intuitive. So if we're talking about empathy, it's the subconscious that empathy stems from. At the Ascension Centre, we have a theory that our conscious mind and subconscious were meant to grow up together. We were meant to develop them both. So for the first couple of years of our lives, up until 2 or 3 years old, we're pure subconscious mind. We don't have a conscious mind. We don't have our logical mind when we're little. And this is Mother Nature's way of helping us to learn all of the things that we need to learn in those first few years of our lives. We're like blank slates, taking everything in. Around 2 or 3, we start to develop the conscious mind, the logical mind. And again, it's our belief that both parts of the mind were meant to develop. We're meant to have both a logical, strategic, problem-solving mind in the conscious mind, as well as an intuitive, emotional, empathic part of ourselves with our subconscious mind. But that's not what happens, and we believe it's intentional. When we start going to school, the emphasis is on developing the conscious mind and disregarding the subconscious mind. Think of the subjects we learn in school: math, science, the rules of English. Now, these are important topics, don't get me wrong, but there's definitely an emphasis on developing the logical mind, the rational mind, the cognitive thinking mind. And the subjects that are developing the subconscious mind, art, theater, music, everything that's more creative and intuitive, all of those things are electives. You can take them if you have room in your schedule after you've done the important things. And all the things that are related to the subconscious mind get dismissed in other ways as well. If you are intuitive, what are you told? It's the work of the devil. That's for special people. That's not a real thing. It's discarded and dismissed and put down. We're taught to be fearful of our intuitive side, like we're, doing the work of the devil or doing something wrong. If we're emotional, we get a lot of negative feedback, don't we? Don't be a baby, don't be whiny, don't cry, suck it up, deal with that on your own. There's no room for your emotions. I get a lot of clients in my practice who grew up in an environment where it was just not safe or welcome for them to feel or express their emotions, probably because they had parents who weren't comfortable with their emotions either. So a lot of us have gotten negative messages around our emotions. The subconscious is also your creative mind. If you're a creative person, what are you told? You can't make money doing creative things, get a real job, grow up, get your head out of the clouds. And so everything that has to do with the subconscious, our intuition, our empathy, our emotion, our creativity gets discarded, gets dismissed, and we're made to feel fearful of it. And again, this is intentional. Rockefeller, who contributed millions of dollars to developing the American school system, is known to have said, "We don't need a nation of thinkers, we need a nation of workers." That's why there's so much focus on the logical mind. We want workers. We want people who are going to do what they're told. That's why we're taught to respect authority, pay attention to the teacher, don't question things, be compliant. We need a nation of workers. We don't want a nation of thinkers. See, if we were more plugged into our subconscious mind, we would be intuitive. We'd be able to get information for ourselves. We would be emotionally aware. We would be more creative. We could come up with we could solve problems, come up with solutions to problems more easily. But that's not what the powers that be want. They want us to be workers. They don't want us to be thinkers. Okay, so what's that got to do with being an empath? Okay, so bear with me here. If you grew up in an environment where you were given negative messages about any part of your subconscious mind, your creativity, your intuition, your empathy, then you're not going to develop it. The subconscious works by association. If those things are given a negative message, your subconscious is going to go, nope, bad news, don't do that. But if you grew up in an environment where those things were appreciated, welcomed, valued, or you grew up in an environment where other people were also focusing on those things and developing them. In other words, if those things got a positive association, then you would retain your natural abilities. We all have the ability to be intuitive, to be psychic, to do things like telepathy, psychometry, perceptual bilocation. So as an aside, my husband, who's the co-founder of the Ascension Centre, has developed a technique that he calls perceptual bilocation. There's 2 different courses that he teaches to help you achieve it. One of them, which we offer for free, so check us out in the link below. Perceptual bilocation is the ability to have your consciousness be in more than one location at a time. So let's say you're homebound for whatever reason, you're sick, you're unhealthy, your body isn't functioning the way it should. You can send your consciousness somewhere to go on a fantastic vacation, go ziplining. You can move beyond the physical limitations. So digressing. The point is, we have a lot of capacity within our subconscious mind to do amazing things, but the powers that be don't want us to know how to do those amazing things. And so we're given negative messages about those capacities, about our subconscious, in order to keep us from developing them. Empaths may have developed them. It's not that they've developed them, it's that they've never received the message to limit their capacity. If you grew up in an environment where those things were supported and encouraged, and there were people actively developing those capacities themselves, then you would naturally develop them. But those of us who went to school, those of us who were given those negative messages, unfortunately don't. And so those are my theories as to how empathy tends to develop, how somebody becomes an empath. So now, thank you for hanging around this long. What I want to do is move into a guided meditation to help you if you are empathic. And this is good for anybody, even if you're not an empath, to help you disconnect from negative stuff that's going on in there, not take it on as your own. I'm going to guide you through a visualization. Now, sometimes people like to know what we're going to do first. They don't want to be surprised. So I'll give you just a synopsis of what we're going to do. I'm going to have you close your eyes and take a few nice deep breaths just to ground yourself, create a more relaxed state. When we're in a more relaxed state, we access the subconscious more easily, which means what I'm saying to you will be taken in on a subconscious level. Now, if I ever say something, if you're following these guided meditations that I'm offering, and I say something that isn't right for you, you can cancel it by thinking no. When you're in a deeper brainwave level state, a meditative state, hypnotic state, a relaxed state, the subconscious is taking in what's being said by the person who's doing the session, but you're also taking in your own thoughts. So you can easily cancel a suggestion or reword a suggestion if you don't like the sound of it, if I say something that doesn't agree with you. So we're going to take some nice deep breaths, settle into a more relaxed state. Then I'm going to have you take your attention to your center, wherever that is for you. Some people locate it in their chest, for some it's in their belly, other people find it in other places. You might know where it is immediately, you might guess or make it up or choose, it doesn't matter how you do it. Then I'm going to have you imagine that in your center is a bubble, like the kind of bubble you could make from dish soap and a bubble wand, except this bubble is really strong. And it contains within it calmness and confidence. I'm then going to have you expand the bubble out so that it's around you. You're inside all of this calmness and confidence. And then we're going to talk about that bubble being a bit like a protective filter that keeps out anything negative, but allows positive things to pass through, creating, in a sense, a way to protect yourself, to buffer yourself against any negative energy. And then we're going to play with some of the qualities of that bubble. And I'm going to set it up so that you can use that bubble anytime you go out into the world or anytime you're around somebody who's in a negative state, so that you can protect your own energy. How does that sound? Sound good? Yeah. Okay, let's do it. All right. So I'm just going to switch over a little bit from talking mode to hypnosis mode. And so I'm going to invite you to close your eyes down, and we'll start with some nice deep breaths. And of course, the deep breathing helps to slow the pace down, helps us to switch over into a calmer state, and helps you to begin making contact with your subconscious mind. I also like to think of this as an opportunity to just let go. You might like to imagine on the exhales that you're letting go of anything that's been on your mind, letting go of the events so far today, letting go of whatever's coming up later, letting go of any incomplete tasks, responsibilities, obligations, just breathing them all away. And now taking your attention to your breathing. And take nice, long, slow, deep breaths. The kind of breathing you would do if you were perfectly relaxed or fast asleep. And as you take these nice, long, slow, deep breaths, just allowing yourself to relax more fully, to settle in. And now I'm going to ask that you take your attention to your center, wherever that is for you. And I'd like you to imagine that in your center is a beautiful shimmering bubble. As I said, the kind of bubble that could be made from dish soap and a bubble wand, except that this bubble is made of the strongest stuff possible. And it's just hovering there in your center. Maybe it's wobbling a little bit or shimmering a little bit, the way bubbles do. And this bubble is filled with calmness and confidence. Calmness and confidence. And as you imagine this bubble in your center, imagine that the bubble is beginning to expand, growing larger and larger, expanding out, getting bigger and bigger. And as it expands, the amount of calmness and confidence within it expands as well, filling up the whole bubble. And continue to imagine it growing larger and larger until it's actually around you, instead of you being on the outside of the bubble, pardon me. You're now on the inside of the bubble. And imagine what it would be like to be inside a bubble like this. You could see what's going on out there. The bubble's transparent, translucent. But the bubble acts as a protective barrier. You're able to observe in a calm and objective way whatever is taking place on the outside of the bubble. But the bubble protects you from anything of a negative nature affecting your space. Anything negative must stay on the outside of this bubble. This bubble is durable and protective. Nothing can break it, nothing can pass through it, at least not anything of a negative nature. And so let's play with this feature of the bubble. I'd like you to imagine there on the outside of your bubble somebody who's been a negative person in your life. Maybe it's a complainer, somebody who's chaotic, somebody who's a downer. And just imagine them there on the outside of your bubble. And notice how calm and relaxed you can be observing them. Notice how no matter what they say or do, it cannot affect you. You're protected in this bubble of calmness and confidence, able to objectively observe what's taking place out there, but without it impacting on you. No matter what they say or what they do, it stays on the outside of your bubble. Within the bubble, you're able to objectively observe, feeling peaceful, safe, and calm. Now, you might even like this feature of the bubble. If you're ever around anyone particularly negative, you might like to imagine grabbing that bubble from the inside and pulling it towards you like a big elastic band, and then just letting go and shooting that negative person or their negativity off into space. Now, again, we can't always control the temperaments, moods, emotions, states of the people that we have to be around, but we can certainly control our response to it. And you'll notice that whenever you imagine this bubble up around you, you're able to be around any person in any environment, feeling calm, feeling safe, without their stuff entering into your space. You're able to maintain your energy and your energetic vibration, able to maintain a positive emotional state, no matter who's out there, what they're doing, what mood they're in. It's separate from you. Now, I mentioned that this bubble is a protective barrier, but it's kind of a filter. It keeps out the negative stuff, but it allows the positive to flow through the bubble. And so let's get rid of that negative person out there. And this time, I'd like you to imagine that outside your bubble is a positive person. Or maybe there's many positive people. You can have as many as you might like. They could be people you've had in your life in the past, or people who are in your life presently. They could be people you make up or imagine, or people you'd like to meet in the future. But imagine on the outside of your bubble there are now positive people. And I want you to just observe them one at a time and notice what it is about these people that you consider them positive. Do they express generosity, love, kindness? Are they uplifting to you in some way? Do they make you feel seen, heard, cared for, nurtured, loved? Take some time while I'm quiet to just observe the various people on the outside of your bubble and notice what it is about them that you consider positive. And now imagine that all the positive things they have to offer you are coming towards you. And when they reach the bubble, they pass right through, entering into your space, lifting your spirits, making you feel loved, appreciated, cared for, elevating your energetic vibration. Our energetic vibration is affected by what and whom we expose ourselves to. When we expose ourselves to positive people, when we have positive people out there, it elevates our energetic vibration, leaves us feeling more energized, more revitalized, happier, in a more positive frame of mind. And so as you envision or imagine all of that positive passing through the bubble and entering into your space, you may just notice that your vibration feels a little bit higher, as though the positive things they've offered to you have added to your vibration, have lifted it, elevated it. Now you might like to just enjoy basking in all that positivity for a little while longer, while I give you some suggestions to reinforce this exercise. Now, it can feel like a symbolic exercise to have imagined that bubble in your center, to have expanded it to be around you. to have played with the idea of it being a filter that keeps out anything negative and allows the positive through. But your subconscious is your creative mind. It understands symbolism and imagery. That's the language of this part of the mind. By envisioning or imagining that bubble and playing with the properties of it, you're showing your subconscious what you want it to do. And you'll notice you're more attuned to the positive people and experiences in your life. They lift your spirits, they elevate your energy, they raise your vibe. And you're less affected by the negative. You'll find that you're able to be around people who are down or negative. You're able to be around environments that are not particularly high vibing, but without it depleting you, without it affecting your own vibration. You're able to maintain a high and positive vibration no matter who's out there or what they're doing. You're able to differentiate between what's yours and what belongs to somebody else. No longer taking on what is not yours to carry. Other people's moods, energy, and emotions are about them. And you'll find you're able to maintain your own energy, your own vibration, no matter who's out there. Able to differentiate between what's yours and what's somebody else's, and no longer taking on that which isn't yours. Now you can imagine this bubble up around you when it might be useful. Or you can decide right here and now, your subconscious is listening in, that you want this bubble around you at all times, protecting you from the negative and helping you to attune and connect more easily to the positive. If that's your preference to have it up around you at all times, just take some time within your mind to tell your subconscious to keep that bubble there. And now when you're ready to return to normal waking awareness, you can simply open your eyes. Upon opening your eyes, refreshed, alert, and aware. Well, I hope you enjoyed that exercise. I hope this has been useful to you. You know, if you liked this, what you can do all the usual things, the like, the share, and I'm going to leave some information for you down in the notes underneath this recording. If you want to know more about the Ascension Centre, we're all about using the subconscious for all of the incredible things it's capable of doing. We have courses in perceptual bilocation. One of them is a free 16-week self-paced course that anybody can take if you want to learn how to send your consciousness to other places. People who show promise with that, we invite to join our teams. We have teams of people who we call perceptioneers, who we keep our eyes on the world for problems. We give them to our perceptioneers who can then use this tool, a perceptual bilocation, to find solutions. So we're out there trying to solve things that are going on in the world. We also offer courses. I'm all like blissed out from the hypnosis, so if I repeat myself, please forgive me. We also offer courses in telepathy, psychometry, lucid dreaming, hypnotherapy, all kinds of things that are all about developing and leveraging the power of your subconscious mind. And as I mentioned, we also just launched Transcend You. Transcend You is all about raising your energetic vibration. And so there's two different sections to Transcend You. One is tools for raising your energetic vibration. And of course, that's all about your energetic vibration and what you can do to amplify it and protect yourself from it being drained. The other part of Ascend You is helping you to achieve goals. Our energetic vibration can be lowered by bad habits, negative thinking, low mood. And so if you struggle with depression, anxiety, you're a people pleaser, you're a perfectionist, that can bring your vibration down as well. And so I've gathered all my favorite and best tools together: hypnosis, frequencies, subliminal recordings, a lot of other resources. And I've got several goals that if you're struggling with it, here are some tools that you can use to improve things for yourself so that you can raise your own energetic vibration and contribute to an overall higher vibing world. So if any of that sounds good to you, go check us out down below, and I'd love to see you at the Ascension Centre. Thanks again for listening, and please come back for our future videos. Have a good day.